Hello and welcome to this channel where I teach science and scientific communication. Today I want to talk about giving a 5 to 15 minutes research presentation for a PhD interview. There are two ways through which people secure PhD positions. In the first case, the candidate secures funding. They approach a prospective supervisor. The supervisor checks the value of the funding, whether it's sufficient to cater for the needs of the PhD student within the duration of the PhD, and the needs could include accommodation, research costs, tuition fee, insurance, and subsistence. If the amount is sufficient, the supervisor then checks whether the proposed project aligns with their area of expertise. If they're happy with that, they then offer the candidate the PhD position. Sometimes the supervisors are not happy with the proposed project. That's the project the candidates are proposing. They offer some modifications, or they suggest an entirely new project to the candidate. And once the candidate accepts the proposal, that's the supervisor's proposal, the supervisor then offers them a PhD position. In the second case, the supervisor secures funding, advertises the PhD position, candidates apply, and lots of candidates in this case apply. There is a shortlisting, and then the candidates are interviewed. The best candidate is then selected for the position. And this is the kind of interview I'm talking about. For this kind of interview, the candidates are expected to give between 5 to 15 minutes presentation of their previous research. In this video, I am going to cover the reasons why the supervisor wants you to give this kind of presentation. After this video, I invite you to take the course. The link is in the video description, where I have given full detail of how you can go about this kind of presentation. Specifically, the course covers crafting a compelling presentation for a PhD interview, how you will present effectively and answer questions confidently, and lastly, there is an exemplary presentation from a PhD interview where you can watch and apply the style to your own PhD presentation interview. So let's start. Why is the supervisor asking you or the candidates to make a presentation of their previous research? The reason is they want to know if you are knowledgeable enough to work on the proposed project. They want to see if you have been working in the same area and the knowledge you've got from your previous research that will enable you to work on the proposed project without much problems. If you haven't got sufficient knowledge, are you willing to learn? Do you have the ability to learn? Sometimes people are willing to learn, but they don't have the ability to learn on their own. For PhD, you'll be doing lots of the learning yourself because the supervisors are usually very busy and they expect you to come up with some ideas that is going to keep the project going rather than rely on them 100%. So they want to check if you can learn on your own and apply what you have learned to the project. The second thing they want to find out is your scientific curiosity. Are you a curious person? If you're a curious person, then you can easily come up with ideas. If you're not a curious person, then you will be relying on them for ideas to keep the project going, and they don't want that. They want somebody who can come up with some innovative ideas that will keep the project going, and in the end they will fulfill the aims of the project they have acquired the funding for. The third thing they want to check is your career plan. They don't want somebody who, because they have graduated from, say, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and they don't have a job, and as a result they want to take a PhD position. They don't want that. They want somebody who needs a PhD to advance their career plan. Fourthly, they want to check if the candidates understand how knowledge is created in science. In science, knowledge is created by firstly hypothesizing, planning experiment to test the hypothesis, analyzing the results from the experiment and interpreting them and coming up with conclusions. So they want to check if the candidates can do this effectively. And on top of that, they want to find out if the candidates can also find limitations in their plan of experiment. That is, in as much as the candidate understands how knowledge is created in science, they also expect them to be able to criticize their own work, in the sense that if they can criticize their own work, they can criticize the literature also and come up with innovative ways of doing things on the proposed project. Another thing they want to check is communication, whether the candidate can communicate complex ideas to a broader range of audience. And they will find out through the presentation. That is why you need to take the presentation seriously, because if you don't do well in the presentation, then obviously you aren't going to get the position. So they want to check whether you can communicate clearly and effectively, and also check if you can transfer your skills. In fact, communication goes hand in hand with transferable skills. You can communicate your findings and transfer what you have found in terms of teaching to others, both within your area of expertise and outside your area of expertise. That is, audience that are within your area of expertise and those that are outside your area of expertise. The next thing they want to check is your resilience. I do tell people that research is not for the faint-hearted, because things don't always go right. There are frustrations, experiments won't go well. You need to be resilient to be a PhD student or to any PhD, because it's hard work. Things don't always go as planned. Lots of factors play out, unplanned things come up, you need to be resilient. So they want to check if you're a resilient person. They don't want to hire somebody that we abandon the program along the way because of difficulties for one reason or the other. They want to check creativity, whether you are a creative person, and they also want to check whether you have the ability to think critically. Creative thinking and critical thinking are valuable skills or virtues for all PhD students. Supervisors are keen to hire candidates that are creative and also think critically. So these are the reasons why supervisors will be asking candidates to make a presentation of their previous research. Just to remind you again, I have developed a full course. It's around an hour plus, covering how you can craft a compelling research presentation for your PhD interview, how you can present effectively and answer follow-up questions, and then there is an exemplary presentation for you to watch and apply to your own PhD presentation interviews. If you take this course, your chances of succeeding at PhD interviews are going to increase considerably. So I encourage you to take the course. Finally, I'm encouraging you to like the video and also subscribe to my channel. That will keep me motivated to keep doing these courses and making these videos for the audience. For now, bye. See you in the next video.